In 8th century England, the Venerable Bede wrote in his writings The Reckoning of Time about a feast at springtime around the equinox that was celebrated in honour of the goddess Ostara or Ostara. This is the only official writing that we have about this feast and this goddess in England, but it is been a foundation for what modern pagans hold as their spring equinox celebrations. Ostara is celebrated and depicted as a goddess of spring, a goddess of fertility, of rebirth and of life returning to the land. And it is argued about who Ostara was. And it is also likely that from her name and from other deities that she is a goddess of light, a goddess of returning light. And I think that works pretty well for the spring equinox because, as we know, the spring equinox means equal day and night, the vernal equinox here in the northern hemisphere. Because if I point upwards, it's definitely the north, in the northern hemisphere. And that equal day and night soon moves towards longer days and shorter nights. And even in this modern day where we have very expensive electricity and duvets and snuggles and kind of insulated houses, mine's not, but you know, we hope for the best, we still are excited about the beginnings of longer days and the hope of warmer days coming. But you can imagine in olden times, without those luxuries, how powerful and important this festival was, this vernal equinox, this point of balance, where from that point onwards we go into light, we go into those longer, warmer days. But it is a precarious balance at this time of year. And I've just been witnessing this outside just now, that 1 minute you have this beautiful sunlight and you're like, ah, sun, I'm just going to go and sit outside. It is just beautiful to feel those first rays of spring sun. And then very, very quickly, it's chucking it down with rain and it's all gone grey. And I was like, this is just perfect. It is the absolute balance of light and dark, of, yeah, it's spring officially, but spring means tumultuous weather. So welcome to this little video with my happy Meowloween mug. Every day is Meowloween, just saying. Even though we're celebrating spring, I'm still... Is there spring cat mugs? Maybe there are. Anyway, stay on target, Laura. Yeah, so this video is a little bit about how to celebrate the spring equinox and what you can do, whether you're pagan or not, at this time of year to help you rebalance and attune to the seasons and the festivals of the year. So as mentioned, the spring equinox, the vernal equinox, is an astronomical event of day and night being equal. For a moment, we celebrate it as a whole day, but it's literally only a moment where this is equal. And you can look wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to find out online what that time is for you. I haven't found it out yet, but I will find it out. But it's for us pagans, it's a whole day celebration where we celebrate balance. And I find these festivals really powerful. You have the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. And at the autumn equinox, you start to go inwards. And this is for everyone in the southern hemisphere as well. This is, you know, your festival where the exuberance of summer and the mellowness of autumn starts to bring you into your inner world. And we think of the myths at the autumn equinox of Persephone going into the underworld to winter with Hades, her lover, her husband. And in the spring equinox, there are rites of rebirth. Persephone will come out of the underworld. The goddess is returning to the world, and we'll see that in the flowers that start to blossom. We'll see it in the life that starts to return. The birds are busy. You know, the festival of eggs, we'll talk about in just a second, shows you that this is a time of life returning and of rebirth. And it's a very important festival for most, if not all, spiritual paths. And it's celebrated by most, if not all, spiritual paths for its absolute, we are human, whatever path you are on, life, rebirth, light, hope, fertility are the most important, some of the most important themes that we have. And on those balances, on those tipping points where you go into the underworld at the slow descent into the underworld at the autumn equinox, and the ascent, which I feel starts to begin at Imbolc when we start stirring. We're still hibernating at Imbolc, but we start to stir. If we're envisioning ourselves in the centre of the earth, in the underworld, we start to wake, we start to stretch and begin dressing and walking and clothing ourselves in what we'll need for the spring ahead. And here at the spring equinox, maybe we're starting to poke our head above and go, hello, it's getting a bit exciting, life's happening, and feeling that there's plans and things that we want to bring in, start getting energy behind them. And this happens for many reasons, of course. More light, more life return to the land, spring fever, March madness. It's a thing because it's, you know, it's in our blood, it's in our hormones, that this is a time of life, and that makes us want to be out, that makes us want to make plans, that makes us want to be a bit more extroverted, or at the very least be outside more, or thinking about where we're going in the future, what we want to do. And that's why Imbolc, you know, we around the Imbolc retreat, and we really looked at that slow emergence of really gestating what it is that you want to bring into the world. What's the real version of you that's coming out this time? And now those seeds that we started to plant, and it's still time to plant seeds. I need to do a lot of gardening, I tell you. It's time to plant some seeds and focus on new life returning and stepping out into those plans and those projects. But there is no exact rush. There's a mini rush, which I'll tell you about in a second. But there is no exact rush because, as we know, equinox is balance, light and dark. So we're not just skipping into the light, fa-di-da, off we go. We are balancing our light and our dark. We are balancing those different aspects of ourselves. And it is so important over the equinox to rebalance within ourselves, to be aware of what we have learnt over these dark months, or these winter months. What parts of us are the soul parts of us that need acknowledging, that maybe still need healing, that need working with, that need hearing. What parts of us maybe we're ready to release. We've done this work, we've cleared. Actually, we're ready to step into a new astrological year, because it is a new astrological year at the spring equinox. Without some of that, thank you very much. And I'm going to be doing that at 110% absolutely at the spring equinox. There's going to be a lot of things that I don't want to carry into this new year. Old patterns of thoughts, old ways of seeing yourself, habits, clutter. A spring clean can be absolutely perfect this time of year. So having a sacred spring clean, you know, I keep mentioning this, I'm not the most tidy person in the world, or the most, you know, housekeeper of the year award would definitely not go to me. But it's so powerful this time of year to have that cleanse, to have that clear out, as we're looking at balance and rebalance and going into this new chapter. What do we not want to take with us? What's going to go to the charity shop? What's going to be put on an app to sell? What's going to be taken to the tip, recycled? And that is mentally, emotionally, as well as practically. So as we're doing this clear out, as we're doing our spring clean, we can really, I like this, because you can take that time to think about those things, can't you? And really clear them out and release them with love. Say thank you for all the things you have taught me. It's time to go. It's time to release you and transform you. Myself and the wonderful Kay Gillard do healing song circles in Glastonbury. So if you're in Glastonbury over the festivals of the year, you'll be more than welcome to come and join our healing song circles. And what we do in most of these song circles is we do the first part is kind of looking at where we are, what we want to clear out, and the second part will be calling in. I think that'll be very, very clear this song circle, because we're going to be looking at balance and rebalancing and journeying as well. So we do a lot of journeying with drums, and meditations are absolutely wonderful to do at any time of year, but especially at these power points when the energy is ripe and right to journey deep and to see, to make those changes, to see what you can do, how you can clear, how you can tap into that earth energy and be in alignment, you know. So we're in Pisces as I record this. When we go in, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So you have the fishes, the two fishes, one's going that way, one's going that way, one's going to the past, one's going to the future. It's that kind of wholeness, that journey that is completing at this time. So we are literally completing a cycle, completing a journey. Pisces is such a deep and wise sign, and it's almost like very much between the worlds, so kind of that way. And it can be very hard to make solid plans with Pisces energy, but what it is amazing for is diving deep, is for being poetic, it's for writing, for creating, for soul work, for healing. That is amazing to do now. Before we go into Aries, because on the equinox, it is 0 degrees Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, my star sign, and that is when the child gets to play. That's when it's going to be all go, go, go. This year, 2023, when I'm recording this, the equinox is going to be absolutely double fired, because we also have a new moon in Aries on top of that. So if you wanted a time to have a complete clearing, then it is time to do this. It is time to go new moon in Aries and spring equinox. It's going to be absolutely the most powerful time to clear, to put those new intentions out there. It's going to be so very, very powerful. So that's on the Monday, sorry, this year 2023, it's on Monday the 20th, because sometimes the equinox can go from around the 18th, 19th to 21st. So we have that kind of window. So this year 2023, it's on the Monday, new moon in Aries, spring equinox. It's completely this opportunity to have a fresh page in your journal of life, to get energy excited and set intentions for the time ahead. So I would really encourage that for you this equinox, no matter what path you're on. I mean, I imagine if you're watching this, you have some interest in paganism, in witchcraft, in magic, in being aligned with the wheel of the year. So take this opportunity now to start rebalancing, to start clearing out, to start thinking about and feeling into where you've been over this. What's your journey been over these winter months? What's been prominent things that have come up for you to heal, to release? What have you learned about yourself? Please journal on these things as well over those dark winter solstice times, those inner healing times. What has been the theme for you? And if you don't know, that's absolutely fine too. A great thing to do is to do some free writing for a bit, to get a page and just start writing. You could say, this equinox, I feel blah, blah, blah. Just let it go. Just let your even if you don't logically know what's going on, your soul, your subconscious is pretty much in the know. And when you do things like free writing, you give yourself the chance to hear it, to feel it, and to let things out. So that's one way of honouring this time of year, is becoming in tune with your inner balance, clearing out, and then doing some beautiful calling in, worshipping the goddess and the god at this time of year. Is a definite time of balance. We have the divine masculine, the divine feminine. You could have this as Freya and Frey. You could have this as Ostara and the horned god. You could have this as any Aphrodite, you know, get deities of light, of Bridget, of light, of life, and gods of fertility and the spring. You could just, if you feel like you'd rather do this, you could have this a lady of spring and the lord of the greenwood, and you could have this beautiful ritual where you honour those two archetypal deities, because they are relevant everywhere in the northern hemisphere at this time of year. And obviously I understand that a lot of people in the north right now, it's snowing or it's blooming cold, and you know, spring has not sprung. The wheel of the year and the way we celebrate it, I mean, it's very much based in England, in the UK, and yeah, we often have spring this time of year. Go to Norway, it's snowing. Go to Canada, it's snowing. So even though there's lots of suggestions for things that are outside and looking at the first signs of spring, if that isn't relevant for you, the rebalance still is, because wherever you are, it is a time of equinox, equal day, equal night. Is a time of clearing the past and laying the path for the future. It's a time of planting those seeds and celebrating the potential of the returning light. But if you are somewhere where it actually is showing the first signs of spring, there's been some beautiful flowers. The colours of this time of year are green, of course, of yellow, the kind of the pastel colours. not generally my favourite. I'm joking. I love the moon and the flowers. I love seeing like the yellows of the daffodils. And then there's the purples. So purples and yellows and green are beautiful colours for this time of year as we look at the spring flowers returning, and the yellow daffodils, the hope and the life and the sun coming back. It's a time of tapping into your inner child as well, because Aries is the child of the zodiac. Tapping into your inner child, into your joyful, playful wisdom, the I want to do this, I feel happy when I do this. Really tune into what your inner child wants, what impulsiveness is coming through at this time of year. I'm not saying act on every impulsion, because that makes us nitwits sometimes. But actually I think, especially when we're so held back, we're so bordered down from our feelings, and we're so trying to, you know, put across a certain vision of ourselves or whatever, to that. Play, allow yourself to be silly, allow yourself to speak out, to think about those things that are coming through that are impulsions for you, that are things you actually would like to do. And maybe, in a safe and strong and good way for you, do them. Start taking those steps in that direction. That spring energy has come to rebirth. It's come to bring a new energy in. So if you resist that, we end up feeling really, really stuck. So even if that is literally putting in a new part of your routine where you're going to go out for a walk or a cycle or whatever's possible 3 times a week, and you're going to observe the changing of the seasons, or you're going to go on that holiday, or you're going to do a bit of travelling, or you're going to paint that picture, or you're going to write that story. Do it. Do your garden, have fun, play, giggle, dance, do the things that would make your inner child happy. Aries loves that stuff, honestly, absolutely loves it. And talking of going to observe nature, you can, on the equinox, notice that if you can go somewhere and watch the sunrise and the sunset, it is going to be exactly rising in the east and setting in the west. So it's a time of year when it is that you can actually watch that exact alignment, and it's a very powerful thing to do, to feel balanced, to feel in tune, in sync with the world. So is there somewhere you can go where you can observe those, the rising and the setting of the sun? It could be a really beautiful thing to do, a very powerful thing to do. I mentioned I'll talk about the eggs as well. We know that Easter is Ostara. Easter eggs are a thing. They are a thing for pagans. Fear not if you are telling, you know, you're not going to miss out, because obviously it's pagan. Like, obviously it's the most pagan thing ever, isn't it? That painted eggs and hiding eggs, having egg races, you know, having those egg hunts for the children and the big children is 110% something you can do. And to celebrate the pagan or the earth-aligned version of spirituality at this time of year, you can do those things, because those eggs are seen as rebirth. It is nature coming back to life. And all things with hares and bunnies, yes, it is off, you know, it is taken on as the symbolism of this time of year. And if where I am, you can see some hares sometimes at certain times of day. I know that hares are a lot rarer nowadays, which is hideous. I know where my mum lives, at the north, we can see some hares, but again, not as many as you used to be able to. But watch the hares if you get to see them this time of year. The mad-marked hare is really a thing. And watching them play and watching the fighting over the breeding season with all the nature actually starts to begin, and it brings that hustle tussle within ourselves as well, because like it or not, we are part of the nature season. So yeah, egg painting, please enjoy this over the festivals, over this. What I really like to do, and I might make a video on it over the time, or take some photos at the very least, is making an egg tree. So you can get some twigs, some branches. Maybe you have a festival tree that you have throughout the year, but you can get some twigs and branches, put them in a jar, and you can hang little egg decorations, or like little wooden decorations of hares and rabbits. You can, you can make your own egg decorations, or you can buy them from the shops. You can paint little wooden things like eggs or anything like that, and hang them from your spring Easter tree. I think that's a really, really lovely thing to do. It's so bright and cheerful and brings in the spring. So I'll either do a video on that, or I'll take some photos and share them. That's such a lovely thing to do. If you're doing a ritual, Traditionally, you can have a black and a white candle. I'm never going to force you to do anything. You can have any candles you like, but it's maybe nice to have something on your altar that honours the dark side of the year and honours the light side of the year and honours the emergence of this you that's coming through now and life that's coming through now. And yep, as I mentioned, the colours are greens and anything that represents life to you. Work with colours that make you happy, that resonate with you. Yes, purple. I love purple. I love green. I love golds. You know, those colours can be absolutely wonderful to represent the returning of sun, the returning of light. But often the pastel colours are good for this time of year because we're not there yet. You know, it's not full bloom colour. It's like this beauty of life emerging. And yeah, so maybe you could create a little nature altar that represents where you're at and what you're feeling and what you appreciate about nature at this time of year, and have a feast. You know, back to Bede. We'll end where we began. The Venerable Bede, who I had to write some essays on last year, wrote that there was feasts for the goddess Ostara, at this time of year. So what would a feast be for you? Do you want to put on a feast for your friends? Do you want to invite them round and have some food, celebrate with them, or your family, or your pets? You know, whoever is who you love, who you want to spend your time with, your coven, with your group. Having a feast to celebrate spring is a way of honouring the goddess and maybe making offerings as well to the land. And giving back at this time of year is very, very important as well. So it's a lovely way to celebrate through sharing food, sharing drink, giving back to the land. And final point, I'm not going to forget, actually I've got 2 final points. I've always got more points, always. Final points, fairies. This is a time of the year to celebrate, well, all times of the year are times to celebrate the fae and the fairies, but it is known at the equinox that the fairies will be feasting and celebrating as well. It is a time where life is celebrating. And at the power points of the year, you know, at these surges of energy, we know there's different times of the day where you are more connected to the other world. In between times, dusk, dawn, midnight, midday. In between times. Yeah, sorry, I was just contemplating in my brain that I was born at midday, so I came out for lunch, but also I was in between time. I always make a joke that I came out for lunch, because who doesn't like lunch, but I'm having it as a midday thing now, as in between the world time. But yeah, in between times are fae times. Times when it's easier to go to that other world place. Also, those power points of the year, not PowerPoint, I know I keep saying PowerPoints, not like a presentation. You can make one if you like, but you know, those surges of the year, the magical diary of the year, they are the times when that energy is strong, and therefore it is a time to connect with the fae more, with the spirits of the land. So giving a blessing or a gift which is biodegradable and not going to be harmful for the environment, to the land, to the fae, saying thank you for this healing winter, that I've got through it, and that I'm coming in to this new spring, and giving gratitude to the fae. And maybe being out for a walk at those in between times, going out for a walk at dawn or dusk or whenever you can. Like, I'm not much of a dawn walker, even though I wish I was. You know, and acknowledging and being open to watching the spirits of nature celebrate, and to see that shift in the year is a really, really powerful thing. So honouring the fairies at this time of year, high upon the agenda. And the other connected thing is looking at the tree calendar. Now, people have lots of different opinions about the tree calendar. I'm not going to go into that right now, but you know that I love trees, and I do really love the OM calendar. And for the very, you know, whatever people think, it's a really good tool to connect people with the wheel of the year, to learn about trees, to learn about the different seasons and cycles and myths and magic of trees. So for that alone, I love the tree calendar. And at the equinox, we are moving into the tree season of alder. And I have a video on my channel about alder, which I'll link to. And we can look at finding alder trees, not elder, alder, A-L-D-E-R, in our area. and they often grow where there's water or underground water, and you can see their little spring seedlings beginning to show. So honouring the trees at this time of year, finding out which trees, what are they doing, looking at the buds on the trees, really studying the trees in your local area is a really beautiful way to honour this time of year. And so thank you for watching. There's probably a zillion other ways of celebrating Ostara and the equinox, but that's just some ideas in about half an hour by the time I finish, to whatever journey you're on. If you're just casually dipping into paganism or witchcraft or magic in any way, it's just tuning into this time of year is very important. Start with the earth, start here, start with how you feel, start with what's going on with you and the world around you, in your garden, in your local environment. Be aware of the birds, of the trees, of the animals, see what's going on. This is the most pagan thing you can do. And if you would like to learn more about paganism and witchcraft, and you want to share this journey with myself and my fabulous friend Ellie Townsend, we are running a witchcraft course, Walking the Path of the Witch, and Walking the Way of the Witch, sorry. And this is going to be a course starting in April, and I'm so excited about it because no matter where you are in the world, we got you covered. Obviously I live in the Northern Hemisphere in England and Ellie lives in Australia, so we're really working with the duality of the world. If you're new to paganism and witchcraft, you know, you are more than welcome to come and join us. This is a path from the beginners to the experienced witch. You'll get one-to-one coaching, you'll get groups where we're going to chat and discuss and have lessons online. You have worksheets, videos, mentorship, all of these things to help you get on your own magical path. Both me and Ellie are really passionate about empowering, healing and helping you move forward on your own path. So we would love you to join us, and we have a lot of fun as well. You know, it's going to be a really fun journey. That begins April the 1st. So there's details right here about how to join us or to find out more, but we're just so looking forward to sharing this magical time with you guys. And if you'd like to learn more about your own magical path, about witchcraft, about paganism, about spell work, rituals, groups, sigils, crystals, herbs, animals, trees, and more, deities of course, then join our Way of the Witch course, because it's going to be such an exciting journey. So I can't wait to see you there, and thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing equinox, whether you are in the Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere. Enjoy this time of rebalancing, realigning and connecting with the gods, with the land and with nature. I'll see you soon. Bye.